Welcome to the silent personalities. Imagine a king whose throne was never anchored to one land, whose power floated on cold seas with longships and silver, and whose life closed an entire chapter of English history in a single, sudden moment. Harthacnut ruled at a time when the North Sea was not a boundary, but a bridge, when England and Denmark were tied together by blood, ships, and ambition, and when a single death could collapse an empire built by conquest. His short and troubled reign stands at the edge of two worlds, the fading age of Viking kings, and the approaching reshaping of England that would culminate in the Norman Conquest. To understand Harthacnut is to witness the final breath of the Danish rule over England and the fragile nature of power. In an age where loyalty shifted as swiftly as the tide, Harthacnut is almost certainly Harthacnut, also spelled Harthacnut, the son of Cnut the Great and Emma of Normandy, who became king of Denmark 1035 to 1042, and then king of England 1040 to 1042, and, crucially, the last Danish ruler of England. To understand Harthacnut, picture the North Sea as a single political stage. Under Cnut the Great, power didn't sit in one capital. It moved with ships, tribute, oaths, and hostages, binding England and Denmark and, for a time, Norway into what modern historians often call a North Sea Empire. Harthacnut was born into that ocean-spanning system around 1018, raised in a court where identity and legitimacy had to work in more than one kingdom at once. His position was complicated from the start by the fact that Cnut had children by two different unions. Harthacnut was Emma's son. His half-brother Harald Harefoot was born Gifu of Northampton. In the hard mathematics of medieval politics, this mattered because who your mother was could decide which faction of nobles would risk their lives for you. Harthacnut's claim was strong, especially through Emma, who came from the Norman ducal family, but it was also vulnerable because he was physically absent from England when the crisis hit. When Cnut died in 1035, the machine he built didn't smoothly hand over power. It splintered. Harthacnut inherited Denmark, but threats and instability in Scandinavia kept him there. In England, Harald Harefoot gained ground until he was effectively accepted as king. Contemporary English narration later framed Harthacnut as forsaken because he stayed along across the sea. An accusation that's less about travel time and more about the medieval fear that an absent king becomes a lost king. Meanwhile, Emma, who had tried to hold influence especially in Wessex, ended up fleeing to Bruges in Flanders, which became a kind of exile court and launch pad for a possible return. This is where the story becomes cinematic, a king in waiting, ships gathering, an invasion prepared, but not yet launched. Harthacnut did assemble a fleet and came to Bruges